You are listening to the Effective Statistician podcast, a weekly podcast with Alexander Schacht and Benjamin Pieske, designed to help you reach your potential, lead great science, and serve patients without becoming overwhelmed by work. And today we are talking really about the overwhelm. 3 time management hacks that actually do work. And now, the music. I'm a big fan of all kind of different productivity things, and I'm actually writing a lot about these things and sharing things about productivity on LinkedIn. So head over to LinkedIn, find the Effective Statistician group, find me and follow me on LinkedIn. The podcast is produced in association with PSI, a community dedicated to leading and promoting the use of statistics within the healthcare industry for the benefit of patients. Join PSI today to further develop your statistical capabilities with access to the video-on-demand content library, free registration to all PSI webinars, and much, much more. Visit the PSI website at psiweb.org to learn more about PSI activities and become a PSI member today. Welcome to another episode of the Effective Statistician, and today I'm, like usually, talking with Benjamin. Hi Benjamin, how are you doing?
Hi Alexander, very well, thank you.
Very good. How are you? Well, it's another of these COVID-19 episodes, recording from home, and the kids are in the background, and so it's even more important to, be really productive in the time that you have, because just in the next minute, someone might come through the door, a kid or someone else, and may distract you. So if you're listening some background noise from kids or something, that is due to that situation.
Yeah, it may possibly happen. But anyway, I'm glad we can do it, because I believe in other jobs it might be different, much more difficult to really work from home and just stay tuned and connected through the media and everything that we have. So that's quite a good advantage anyway.
Yeah, for sure. So today we want to talk about 3 time management hacks. But before we get into that, I think there's 2 things we should mention beforehand, because these are, so to say, prerequisites to work effectively. And the first is to be clear on your goals and to always keep them in front of you. So that's maybe time management hack 0 or 0.1.
0.1.
Because if you're not clear on where you're heading, what are really your important goals, you will go astray and work on all kind of different things, but you're not moving all the effort in one direction. And if you're not clear on your goals, someone else will put their goals onto you, and that's probably not what you...
Yeah, I think we touched the topic about being clear on your goals and focus on your goals quite often. I think we had even a podcast episode about defining your goals and so many things is around the goals. So I think this is quite of the. You should never forget your goals, and you really work on. Also, if you have something that you explicitly work on for the next day or weeks or maybe the hour, it's also quite important to really break it down into fractions. So the overall goal, break it down into a weekly goal or maybe even like a daily goal, to really focus on what you would like to achieve within a given time frame.
And then the other thing is goals are really important, and how to get to these goals is building great habits. And because habits will carry you through the day, will carry you through the years, and will help you so the good habits, of course, will help you to move forward constantly with less and less effort. So that's really important. So, and of course, building great habits, reducing the bad habits. So that's also something we'll talk about today.
We touched this one about building habits and doing it, really focusing on building on train yourself to do the right things for a goal. And I think this is actually the more difficult part.
Yeah.
Because people tend to, including myself, to be honest, tend to just either leave it the way that it always kind of worked, or sometimes saying that, I'm not that much focused or at the moment, so why not doing it the other way? So really just train yourself to stay focused on, and building good habits of how to move on effectively.
Yeah. Okay, with these 2 prerequisites, let's go into the 3 time management hacks we want to talk about today. So the first one is about saying no and turning things back. So to say, reflecting work. So there is, especially if you're a supervisor, you can very, very easily take up work from all your direct reports, or you can take up work from colleagues that just step by and hand over work to you. And if you're doing that continually, then you train all the other people in your organization to
say no and turn it.
just reflect work onto you, and so that you end up with a huge amount of work that is not aligned with your goals, and that possibly you're also not the best person to work on. So I think that's a really, really important point.
But talking about, in case you're a supervisor, I think this is also quite a good thing to mention here, is that you as a supervisor are also having some responsibility in giving your people the chance to say no and turn things back, because it's not necessarily, it's probably for you as a supervisor, it may be easier because you can just, sometimes delegate it easier to somebody in your team, while other people in the team may or may not be able to delegate it nicely. So support them as well, to give them a chance to say no and turn things back. And also just, you have an overview of different people working in a team, so you can also help to identify the right person to doing the right things according to their goals. And you as a supervisor should have the goals to have an effective team. So therefore, it's kind of your goal as well.
Yeah. Because if you say no to all these things that fly in throughout the day, you can actually concentrate on the tasks at hand and get them done. And the kind of background to that is that it's really important to finish things off. And if you're saying yes to all kind of different things, you will have lots of started work products and started work streams, but nothing finished. And all these loose ends absorb a lot of energy, a lot of time in terms of getting back to them, and that is a huge drain in terms of productivity. So finishing things up by saying no to new things is a really, really important thing.
Ticking the box on the to-do list, saying, well, done. That's the one.
Yeah, getting to done. Okay, let's go to time management hack number 2. That is one that really helped me fundamentally be much more productive. And that is focusing my efforts and concentration. So we talked about time boxing here and managing distraction earlier in the podcast, but the kind of overarching theme is there to focus your efforts and concentration and be really in the moment, very, very clear. We even talked about flow in a previous episode. That's kind of the optimal state you want to get into, because then you're really, really productive and get a lot of things done in a rather short period of time. And get to the finish line much faster.
We also discussed the things that you can technically help you to manage your distractions, like turning off, incoming emails or phone calls, or so anything that keeps you away from focusing on the tasks that you need to do or that you plan to do within the next hour or the next day or whatsoever. So really just, give yourself a chance to reach the flow, to dive into the task and concentrate on what you're supposed to do. Because otherwise, some people are easier to work with distractions. Others it's very difficult. Some listen to music, some not. So you have to find your own way and how to focus your efforts. But in general, just make use of all the technical possibilities that you usually have to remove the distractions and keeping you away from focus your efforts.
Yeah, and you can also kind of channel your distractions. Yeah, so that you have specific time where you take a break and maybe you check some social media or things like that, so that you have boxed that and that's your time. You can look forward to it. But it helps you to alleviate the urge to constantly be on social media, which is probably one of the biggest distractors. And the other thing is probably email. Yeah, so if you have your inbox open all the time and you see one email coming in and it makes ping and there's also a visual cue on your laptop or your monitor that tells you you've got mail, then that is really, really distracting. And I think we talked about all these distractions in the past. Of course, at the moment, if you're working from home and you have families, that's another layer of distractions
but again,
to manage.
It's not about the ideal world. It's really about reality. And therefore, it's just that you think before you think about removing the type of restrictions that you are able to remove. You shouldn't remove your kids. Put them outside, just lock the door. No, but working with the unexpected, basically. But it's build habits. Then this should be one of the habits to remove the distractions that, like email, the pop-up window coming in for emails, or the sound. I always put my computer on mute anyway, and every program has the right to do some sounds and anything. So that's something that you should just consider and staying focused.
Yeah, in terms of working from home, I think the biggest tool for managing distraction and the most effective one is a door.
That's true.
Closing the door and having a room for yourself. The bedroom, that you can be just with yourself if you don't have a dedicated office at home. That helps a lot. Just to be able to close the door behind you. Working in the living room or in the kitchen when there's, everybody coming in and passing by, that's really, really hard to stay focused.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Time management hack number 3 is also such a, maybe a little bit of an umbrella term, and that is get and stay organized. So have all your calendar in place, have your to-dos in place, have your meetings in place, all your documents clearly organized, because that can be a huge drain in terms of productivity if you're constantly searching for a lot of things, if your calendar is a complete mess in terms of the calendar has kind of meetings everywhere and multiple bookings of meetings, and you allow others to book meetings at any time. That doesn't help you to stay organized. But a calendar that has meetings with yourself, clear boundaries of when you allow others to have meetings and invite you to meetings, these kind of things make a huge difference. And we talked about to-do lists in another episode in terms of having 3 major to-dos for the day and having the rest organized differently. That helps you to stay on track and be clear on what you need to do. Really good organized meetings is for sure another important factor. Lots of us spend an enormous amount of time in meetings, and if your meetings are disorganized, that is a time drain. Really, really big one, and it also leads to a lot of frustration.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the things that you should put on your to-do list at the very first time to do this. For in the beginning, if you have any plans, because people are just moving into this. Some people coming from, let's say, university and starting up, they don't have an idea of how to work in these so organized structure with the multi-layers, different, people coming in with questions, with requests and things like this. So we do need to spend time and finding the right way for each individual. So for yourself to organize to-dos. I mean, the good example is, do you have a notebook, like a paper notebook where you write it down, or, just to use the task and the to-do list in Outlook? So it's really the question. So what is your preference? So how do you work best? So what's fitting you best? And that is something that you really need to spend some time with to organize yourself, your computer. And it's difficult because it's a moving target, everything coming in every day again and again. But if you put this together with for example, the recommendations we gave in how to organize your emails and how to work with your emails so that you can sort them away correctly and you know where to find things. So this is about one of the habits that you need to develop into and get a well-organized desk, well-organized computer for yourself to really don't spend time in searching things and getting distracted, finding to-dos from a different list that you have just almost forgot about and stuff like that. So, I mean, it all happened to me. It's kind of a experience that I've been through. But,
yeah. And of course, this is a ever-changing topic. So with new tools, with new organizations, with new work tasks, there's always a constant pressure on getting yourself organized. And I experienced lots of different ways how I organized myself over the years. And so don't expect that you develop now your perfect system and that will carry you through forever. The systems are changing, the work is changing, and you are changing. So just don't expect that, your filing system and all these kind of different things will stay the same. One note I want to make on, filing systems and email systems is keep it as simple as possible. So I've seen people with lots of different folders and subfolders and subfolders, and they spend more time organizing their stuff than what they save in than finding things quicker. Yeah, so
no, that's true. And also, my recommendation is, what I learned is, I still have a paper notebook, but I try to keep it as much as possible in an electronic way, just for two reasons. One is the searchability is definitely easier than flipping through the pages of a notebook, and the second is, whenever you change your system, you don't have to, you just copy it over. It's much easier to really adjust your systems, adjust your programs. Maybe you find some better organized or some tool that's better, helping you better organize, getting better organized. Then you just copy over a to-do list rather than, writing it, typing it from the notebook. So there's a electronic. We are living, in a century actually, where. We're just working with electronic habits, and that is something that we should really make use of.
Yeah. However, my three big topics or tasks that I wanna get done each day, I write them down on paper, because that way I have them visible all the time. Because my screen is filled with all kind of different windows all the time, and any to-do list would disappear pretty fast on it. And to make sure that I keep them all visible throughout the day, I've written them down on paper, which suits me very, very nicely. And that's a habit that I created, and that I write that down each morning. What are my 3 major tasks, most important tasks that I do every day? And it's one of these habits that helps me to be really, really productive. Now, if you want to build new habits, and that is part of this getting and staying organized, this is building good habits, there's 4 laws that you can make use of. And this is from the book Atomic Habits, that I can highly recommend to people. But let's talk about kind of the 4 laws that give you kind of a quick overview of this book. The first law of creating good habits is making it obvious. So that it's, for example, I have my full focus planner where I have, the calendar in it and the 3 major tasks that I want to do on my desk. So each morning when I get to my computer, there's the notebook and I directly are reminded to open it, look into the goals that I have, and start with the 3 major tasks, because that's the first thing to see when you open the full focus planner. Very
that's obvious. It's a very good point, because it's obvious in a way of visible, but it's also obvious of you shouldn't kind of take there and say, well, what did I mean with this? So it's kind of, it must be just very clear, very precise habits, just to just work on something, or to continue and start something actually in the morning, which is just obvious to be done, or that's needed to be done for the day.
Yeah. And so if you want to work on bad habits, you can apply kind of the opposite to it. So anything that is not obvious will kind of help you to not get started with this habit. Yeah. So making it obvious is about the cue that leads at the beginning of this habit. And if you make this cue obvious, then it helps you to get the habit started. If it's not obvious, then it helps you to suppress maybe a bad habit. Yeah. The second law is making it attractive. So that is about the cravings that you have with each habit. What gets you going there? For me, for example, with my full focus planner and writing down my 3 habits, I have just then the feelings that I'm in control of things. And that's what I'm associated with writing down my 3 major tasks. I know that I can get through these throughout the day, and that helps me to think about the end of the day, and that will feel good when I have ticked these off. So that's about making it attractive.
It's kind of the motivation for the day. You should try to make this not only as seeing this as a duty, but as the motivation as well. So that is the key about making it attractive. It's difficult sometimes, to be honest, because sometimes it's just not that attractive in a way of giving you already know that that's something that you can reach today, or maybe that is something that you can that moves you really forward. Maybe it's just a really necessary step, but not very attractive. But try. I mean, it's difficult, but I think.
So these, obviously the easiest way to start new habits if you tick all 4 boxes of these laws. But if you can tick only 2 of these, that's already quite helpful. Yeah. So sometimes, it's forced if you want to make it attractive. but maybe you can do it together with someone else.
Reward at the end.
And that makes it attractive.
Put 5 minutes, 5 minutes for
that
coffee. For chat, something which is kind of what you're looking forward to achieve, and so just give it some outside distraction help, maybe. So give yourself the time for social media after that.
Yeah, this is actually the fourth point already, making it satisfying. That's about the reward. So every habit has a reward in the end. If you can create a nice reward for you, then that helps a lot. So for example, when I wanted to go more for runs outside, after each run, I was posting a screenshot of my running app to a friend. And she would always come back and say, congratulations, well done, and things like that. And that was satisfying. Yeah. So, and we were doing that in turn. So I was doing the same for her. And that is kind of playing with the reward and, make your habit satisfying. You can even, also make it the opposite, of course. Yeah. So you can force yourself to do some things that you don't like. Yeah. So not sure when, promise your wife to wear the shirt of the football clubs that you most dislike or something like this for a day. as some kind of punishment or something like this. Things like that can be kind of, the
satisfying is more, for me, it's satisfying. Also for the, when you move forward with your goal. So this is kind of the satisfaction that, you would like to see every day or for every, ticking every box on your to-do list. And I think that is not necessarily easy to reach for every day for each of the goals. So that's why there are tips and tricks, and so we also discussed this, and for example, with the comparing it or communicating this with somebody external or working in somebody unknown on a goal, and just getting the satisfaction of having it done within 2 hours or even less or whatsoever. So I think this is really something very difficult. Not always, but in some cases quite difficult to work on. The same was basically when you're looking onto the goal and onto the goal for the day to make it attractive. So that might be very, very difficult. But that's something that we need to work on, and we need to make our lives easier in terms of reaching our goals.
Yeah, and the third law is about making it easy. Yeah, so we talked about, for example, the meetings and getting meetings better organized. You can have something like a template, for example, that you fill in for each meeting. Kind of, what are the goals? What is the agenda? What are the key takeaways? What are the actions? Have kind of who will do the minutes and all these kind of things laid out within the meeting already as a template. And then you just need to fill it in. And these templates make things easier for you. So that's just one example how you can make a habit of having more productive meetings supported with such a meeting template, so to say. So that everybody is clear on.
Yeah, but on the other hand, make it easy is also for actually for. I would also think for the day. I mean, for the goals. So you have to define your goals or the tasks that you need to do in an easy way. Because if you put too much in it or too complicated or too many things at once, this is neither attractive nor satisfying. So break it down in easy pieces and easy parts where you can work on and really find or make a step towards the overall goal. And I think it's also about making your work life easier in a way of, as you said, like templates, but also make it for the planning easier for the habits to really just don't think too complicated. Don't to do it the pure access, to really have a pure thought, pure approach on getting things done.
Yeah. In terms of that, we talked about kind of filing systems and things like that earlier. If you want to stay on track with your filing system, it should be easy. Yeah. If it's too complex, if it's too difficult, that speaks against this law of habits. Yeah. It's if it's difficult, you'll probably not stay on top of that. There's two references I would like to make to other books that are really, really helpful. There's one book called Deep Work, which is an awesome book written by highly successful professor of, I think, theoretical information technology or something like this. And has studied how to work really deeply on things. And his book is, so to say, a pre-read to Atomic Habits, so to say, because it tells a lot of nice stories and helps you to stay on track. The other book that I can highly recommend is The One Thing. It explains to you what is the tasks that you should start working with. So what is the one thing that gives you the biggest impact on all the other things that you want to do in the future? So what is the one thing that cascades most of the work moving forward? What is the one thing that enables a lot of others to move forward? What's the one thing that speeds up your productivity most in the next days, weeks, months? Understanding these kind of mechanisms, that's what this book is about. And of course, we'll link to these books in the show notes. So just head over to theeffectivestatistician.com and you'll find there the show notes. You'll find there the 4 rules that we talked about in terms of building habits. And of course, the 3 time management hacks in shorts that we talked about, so that you have it in front of you when you're back from your run, maybe, or when you're back from
excellent. So I'm now
your commute or wherever you're listening now to this podcast. Yep. So just as a short summary, yeah. So the 3 time management hacks were saying no and turning things back, reflecting the work. Focus your effort and concentration is time management hack number 2, and get and stay organized is time management hack number 3.
Bye-bye.
So with that, thanks so much and talk to you next week. This show was created in association with PSI. Thanks to Rain, who helps with the show in the background, and thank you for listening. Head over to theeffectivestatistician.com to find the show notes and learn more about our podcast to boost your career as a statistician. And if you liked this podcast episode, tell your colleagues about it, because they probably need the same advice in terms of time management. Everybody is so busy and everybody is so stressed out about it. So your colleagues can very, very likely benefit from these tips as well. Like always, reach your potential, lead great science, and serve patients. Just be an effective statistician.